Hey guys, it's Russell at DieselGiant.com. It's 2 days after Thanksgiving 2014. Got a lot to be, I'm sure everybody's got a lot to be thankful for. I know I do, because the old 98 Jetta is still with us. Let me explain. Yesterday I was doing some errands, coming back home, and I lost all oil pressure. Now this car has 354,000, almost 355,000 miles, and I basically had to drive about 2 miles with zero oil pressure. Why? This little seal right here. This seal is the engine oil cooler seal. It is the seal that mates the oil cooler to the mounting flange. The mounting flange is mounted on the block. Now, ironically, I was going to actually do this job in about 2 weeks. It requires me to remove the oil filter, so I was just going to go ahead and do the job at the next oil change. Well, I didn't make it that far, obviously. This car has been leaking, and I'm saying leaking, maybe it would leave a drip every 2 or 3 days, one drip from that area, so it was basically just a weeping. But yesterday it decided to go out, and I basically lost 5.5 quarts of oil rather rapidly. Didn't know it till the car started beeping and no oil light came on. So please, if you got a TDI or even a gas Volkswagen, if this thing is leaking, this seal is not but like $2 or $3. It's not very hard to repair. I'm going to show you how to do that. That's one of the main reasons, another reason I want to do this video. But if I had been on the highway, because I had the radio on and I thought it was something coming out of the radio. If I had driven a little bit further, this engine, well, we'd be doing a engine removal video. But thankfully there's nothing wrong with the engine. I run Amsoil synthetic in there. This is the second Volkswagen I've ever had. Due to mechanical failure, I lost oil pressure that I had that oil in there, and the engine's fine. But it would have been very inconvenient. So replace your oil cooler seal. This seal probably went way longer than it should have. Almost over 350,000 miles. That's a very hot area. The seal is constantly getting cooked from the hot oil, so it loses its elasticity and basically starts to leak. So I am going to get the camera off the tripod. I'm going to show you where the seal is. But first, yesterday what I did was, after I put some oil back in it so that I could get it in here into the shop, I basically took some citrus degreaser, my favorite degreaser of all time, to cut through heavy, thick engine oil. You get it at Home Depot. It's made by Zepp. It's a citrus degreaser. It's very, very good. It's water soluble. I'll put it in a bug sprayer, spray it all over the engine, all up under, because I had oil all up under the car, and then hit it with a garden hose and you're good to go. So let me get the camera off the tripod, and I'm going to show you where the oil cooler is before we start the job. This is obviously the engine compartment, and the oil cooler, see if I can point to it, that's the flange. That part attaches to the block, and you may be able to, let me see if I can get some light on it. The flange is the round part, and that square piece is the oil cooler. That's what we're going to be removing. And then on the bottom of that, obviously you can probably see my oil filter. Now there's several ways to do this. You guys know that I like to do stuff moving a minimum of items. You can remove the coolant hoses and drain the coolant if you want. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to remove the oil filter. We're going to remove a 27mm nut, and I'll be able to move the oil cooler here. I'll be able to drop it down, clean it off, and replace the seal and do it back up. So it's a little tight right there, but it's not a job that is by any stretch of the imagination hard. I'd probably give this job about a 3.
You just need a 27mm socket. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the plastic shield that's up under the engine, and I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a shot of what it looks like from the underside. Alright, so hopefully the camera will pick this up, but there is oil all down the underside of my car. I mean, it just gushed out very, very quickly. So I'm going to have to get that cleaned up. I even have it on the back of my trunk where it got spit up. So anyway, the oil filter is right there. And I'm going to be removing the oil filter, and then I'll show you guys what the 27mm nut looks like. Unfortunately, as with most of my videos, I only have two hands and I need them to work on the component, so I'll have to show you what it looks like after I've removed it. Alright, there's a shot of the cooler with the, let me zoom in, with the oil filter removed, and there's a 27mm nut that I'm going to take off, and that'll spin the that round pipe out, and then I'll be able to drop the cooler down enough to replace the seal. Alright, so once you have removed the nut that is holding the oil cooler to the filter boss, I've pushed the oil cooler down just a little bit. I'm going to see if I can get this so you can see the black O-ring right there. Okay. Now I've been able to push the oil cooler down about, I don't know, a couple inches, inch and a half. You can see the threaded tube down inside there. So you need to make some decisions. And there's three ways that you can go about this. You can, if you so desire, remove the coolant hoses that are attaching to both sides of the oil cooler. I'm not going to do that. That's too much of a mess. That's a hassle. That will allow the oil cooler to come completely off of the car without removing the threaded tube. Now, if you've got a gas-powered VW, I'm almost certain that you have enough room in here to push that oil cooler all the way down without removing the threaded rod. Now, I don't recommend doing that, and on the TDIs, do not do that, because you can't really see, but down in there, there's a couple of plastic unions, elbows, that are inside the coolant hoses, and you have a strong probability of cracking those. So the third option is to remove the threaded tube, which is what I'm going to do. Now, you can't just grab the tube and twist it. It's too tight. You could take two nuts, obviously some that have a thicker wall than this, but I went to 3 different places to try to find two nuts that I could jam together. The thread here is an M20, but I don't know the pitch because I couldn't find anybody that had the nuts that were 20mm. They are metric. 3/4 by 16 does not fit. If you put that on there, you're going to mess the threads up on the tube, and you're going to have trouble getting your oil filter on and off every time you change your oil. So the third option, well, is an option that, quite frankly, I think is the best option, and that is using what I'm going to show you next. Alright, well, this is the solution that I'm going with. These are an internal pipe wrench set. I got this set from Home Depot. You can buy these online and Amazon. This is a plumbing type of device that a plumber would use. So any plumbing supply houses, I don't know if Lowe's probably has these, but this set came from Home Depot. They were only about 12 bucks. You need the 3/8 inch one. And the way this works is, this has some grooves on the side, and it's got this offset cam. So what you do is you place this in the tube and you start turning it, and this cam will rotate out and will lock on the inside of the pipe, which will allow you to have enough friction on it to loosen the pipe. So this is a very common set, HDX internal pipe wrench set. So you've got 3/8, half, and I believe 3/4. So 3/8 is the one that you need. Just put your wrench or your socket on the end here. Get this all the way up in the tube. Cock it just a little bit so that this cam grabs, and then go ahead and turn, and it'll turn the tube right out. The good thing about this, as opposed to using maybe something like an easy out, is that this works in both tightening and loosening modes. There's no difference. It works either way. With an easy out, it's only going to work in the loosening mode because it has grooved twists in the easy out that only allow you to remove or get a bite on something when you're removing it in the loosening mode. So this is what I recommend. I'm sure Volkswagen sells a special tool that's similar to this to remove that pipe, but I'm going to go ahead and remove the pipe. I'll give you a close-up of what it looks like, and we'll be right back. Okay, using this makes it about a 3-second job. Once you get it loose, you can turn this by hand. Alright, so once this tube comes out, I'll give you a shot of the tube up top, but you can see now the oil cooler is just hanging. It's not going anywhere. There's no leaks, no drips from the disconnecting any of the lines. So let me get the camera repositioned. I'll show you the tube and show you the actual O-ring. Alright, so here's the tube, and the tool just fits in, just get it lined up and it will slide in. It's hard to do this with one hand. It'll slide all the way in there. I had it out about that far, and if you'll tilt it to the side, see how there's a little bit of play? Tilt it to the side and then start turning it, that cam in there will lock. And it gives just enough bite. This tube is not in there very tight, but it's just a hollow tube. And so that's the way to do it properly. It's a cheap fix. Like I said, you can get these at Home Depot. So let me show you what the O-ring looks like now. Alright, so we've got our cooler out. See, there's it's dropped down just a couple of inches, and you can see the O-ring right there. And I can put my finger on it and I can feel this thing is hard as a rock. As soon as I take it out, I'll show you guys what it looks like, but that's the O-ring that almost cost me my engine. So let me take the O-ring out and I'll give you a close-up shot of that. Alright, so here's the new O-ring. Obviously you can see it's an O-ring. It's very pliable. This right here, I want you to try to see the thickness of this one compared to this. Let me see if I can hold them both up. There is a huge difference. Now, this O-ring is in one piece, so let me see if I can. It's very, very hard. It's not cracked or broken like I've seen. Well, there we go. It's very, very brittle. I don't know how much longer I should have expected this to last. That is the factory original O-ring at 354,700 some miles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean off the mounting surface, and I'm going to go ahead and put the new O-ring back on. Now, there are two mounting ears there and right there, and there are two pins on the cooler that index these. So make sure when you put the O-ring back on that you get those in its correct position. All right, well, unfortunately, this is the best shot I can get. Right there is one of the ears on the pin, and I'm not going to be able to get the other one. But there's actually a series of pins that go all the way around. Just make sure that the seal ends up going on the outside of the pins, and just make sure that both of them are in there. I can see with my eyes that they're both in there. It's hard to get it on camera because there's just not a lot of room. But anyway, so I'm going to put a little bit of engine oil on there, and I'll go ahead and place the cooler back up against the filter flange and then thread the tube back in. Alright, so the tube's in. I went ahead and tightened up our nut. I'm sorry I don't have the torque specs in front of me, but that's all done. I'm going to go ahead and put the oil filter back on there. If it's time to change oil, I would go ahead and do so now. Also, this is a great time to do some additional degreasing under here. So I will get that done, get the engine oil back in here, and I'll see you when the car is running. Alright, so I've got the car back in after degreasing it, got the engine dried off, and we have absolutely no oil leaks. So my piece of advice to you is, please don't make the, well, we'll call it lazy error that I made, thinking that I'll just wait till the next convenient time to do this job. If I had been on the highway, had been not paying more attention, another couple of miles, the engine would be toast. And there have been people I've read about on the forums where the seal went out and it ended up burning up the engine because, well, no lubrication equals a dead engine. So, I hope that this video gives you the knowledge and the empowerment to do it yourself. Again, I rate this about a 3 out of 10. Just get the proper tools, and it's not a big deal at all. This is Russell with DieselGiant.com, and I will see you in the next video.